my friend from New Mexico said, you know, we just want to vote. Honestly, that's all we want from the United States Senate on H.R. 2, and it's been over there for over a year. That's all we want on TikTok legislation that we have all agreed with pretty much over here, and it hasn't come to a vote. That's all we agreed to on a tax bill, for God's sake, that came out of Ways and Means, overwhelming. So I understand the frustration of my friends that say all we want to do is get a vote on something we think is important. The United States Senate has not given us things on bipartisan things that we think are important here.
I sat in the White House, not in a classified meeting, where Republican colleagues said that we won't have Ukraine without bipartisan border security. And then you know what? We accomplished bipartisan border security. It wasn't, and it was, oh, you can shake your head all you want, but Democrats and Republicans voted for border security. And you know what? It was Donald Trump who said, don't give Biden a win. You think about that. Put that aside. This moment is now. The United States Senate, you can have all the views you want about the United States Senate, but hold them for this debate. It is now. It is about the United States House of Representatives. We have the opportunity to do what we do here, and that is to govern. And what are we doing in governing? Is to be a world leader. And for months and months, we have been diddling around where people are dying in Ukraine. Don't talk about what weapons we want to give them. We're not giving them what they need now, and it has been months in the coming. And we ought to today, immediately, we should have picked up that Senate bill, brought it to the floor, and voted on it immediately, and we would be out of here today in doing it.
Mr. DeLauro, you mentioned national security threat. Yeah. Is the invasion at the border a national security threat?
I'm talking about what's here in this bill in terms of defense funding and commenting on the letter. I don't know if you received a copy of Secretary Austin's letter, where he outlines very, very clearly what the downside is if we, to the military and to our national security.
No, is our national security under attack by the invasion at the border, yes or no?
Well, I don't know. I don't understand what your question is in relation to you. Are you talking about?
You said this was a national security threat if we didn't pass.
CR.
Let me just. I'll let you finish. Look, can I just ask the question?
Sure. Go ahead.
Go right ahead. I just caught the tail end of you saying this, not funding.
The Defense Department.
Defense Department through. I guess you're wanting through the end of this year.
Yeah.
Was a national security threat. Is the invasion at the border a national security threat?
I don't understand what that has to do with the continuing
resolution.
Really? Yeah. What does it have to do with the continuing resolution? Your continuing resolution. This is a one corner, the Republican House majority. The Senate hasn't participated.
The national security threat has everything to do with the funding. The national security threat, that invasion at the border that your administration has saddled us with is a threat to this whole system of government. And let me just tell you this.
Well, go ahead.
The fact that we are putting the SAVE Act with this to verify whether you're a citizen or not, I think has a lot to do with the integrity of this country and our voting system.
Well, I would just say to you that if you're very, very concerned about the border security issue, then you would have been able to pass the bipartisan bill that came out of the United States Senate.
That's not true. That's not true.
The Border Patrol.
You were 15. It was 15,000 per day. That was a farce just to get, and you know that.
I'm focused on this continuing resolution.
I get that.
And the lack of, where the Defense Department has told us that the shortfall and the inconsistency for them over the next 6 months have real problems in terms of our national security.
The inconsistency of particularly Lloyd Austin. He is a national security threat by what he's allowed to happen to this country. He hadn't spoken one word up on the invasion that's happened at the border. And for you to sit here and say this is a national security threat when you and your party have allowed 15 million in this country is a travesty.
I'll correct the gentleman. We don't have 15 million people here illegally. We probably have well over 20 million now because we have 10 million just in the last 3.5 years.
And I will tell you what came alive with me the past 2 weeks. You realize there are over 320,000 children, unaccompanied minors, that are into God knows what? Put it into football perspectives. Each football stadium holds around 85,000. That's 4 stadiums of children in this country, Mr. DeLauro, of your administration, letting in this country without a parent, without knowing the language, to fend for themselves. That is a travesty. I yield back.
If I might, you
yes,
asked-
yes, ma'am.
You
Well,
asked the question.
I've
Well,
yielded back,
I'll
but-
ask the chair, yeah, I apologize. Because there's one piece in this. This is on unmanned aircraft systems and the authority for that. Allowing the authorities, this is coming from, allowing authorities to lapse would weaken the nation's overall security posture, leaving critical infrastructure, public spaces more exposed to drone-related threats. Additionally, it would provide transnational criminal organizations with more opportunities to use drones to evade detection and carry out illegal activities across borders.
What's your point?
The point is that there are systems that are not going to be able to be utilized that could potentially address what you are talking about in terms
They
of
utilized the
illegal.
balloon from China. They utilized that, didn't they? The balloon
Sir,
from
I
China that
respond-
was utilized.
I was responding to your issue of dealing with the border. This is
you-
something that would deal with it,
If you
and
would,
it is
if you wanted to
eliminated.
deal with the border, you would have done it 4.5 years ago. You didn't do
Don't talk to
it.
me about dealing with
You
the
wanted
border.
to let the 15 million in, but to keep power. It's not going to work this time.
You know, my friend, I have acknowledged a border crisis. We've had opportunities to deal with it. We had opportunities. I've been here for a while. I can remember when Senator McCain
No,
and
no.
others
Today.
came together.
Today.
They came together to put forward a immigration reform, and it was the House at the time, House Republicans, who rejected it in the same way that House Republicans have rejected it in this past year when former President Trump said to folks in the majority, don't do it, don't give Biden a win. If you're really serious about it, you would have taken on that bill.
If
Thank
Biden
you.
wanted to win, he would
Thank
have
you.
finished the wall and stopped
Thank
it.
you.
He's the
Well-
one that opened it up, and you know it, and children
No,
are
I-
suffering.
All right,
Yes,
all right.
you made them
Let's
suffer
take a
when you
breath.
separated them from their families.
I'm going to recognize Mr. Roy.
I'm proud to support this very solid Energy and Water Development and Related Agencies Appropriations Act of 2025. It's a good bill. It's going to secure our nuclear triad. It's going to protect our domestic energy supplies, and it's going to pressure this Biden administration to refill our strategic petroleum reserves. And I want to thank Chairman Cole and especially Chairman Fleischman, as well as the committee staff for their hard work on this bill and pulling this forward to the floor.
Instead of ensuring America leads the world in the development and transition to a global clean energy economy, the majority's bill strips $1.5 billion from the Department of Energy for energy efficiency and renewable energy. When it comes to green and renewable energy, Project 25, just so that you know what Project 25 is, it is a Trump, MAGA Republican agenda to take over the government and our rights and freedoms. And I might add that when it comes to that green and renewable energy, Project 2025 spells out how Republicans would end any investments altogether, energy efficiency and renewable energy included. So it's in a document, but it is in reality in the appropriations bill. And what it says, further, Project 2025, that we must end the focus on climate change and green subsidies. We must eliminate appliance energy efficiency standards, and that energy efficiency and renewable energy should be entirely eliminated. They are going down the road of eliminating it. This goes beyond climate denial. This is climate capitulation. This is climate arson. This is damning our children to an extreme and dangerous future. Speaker, I'm prepared to close.
Gentleman reserves.
The chair, I'm also prepared to close.
Gentleman reserves. The gentlewoman from Connecticut is recognized.
The American public has been clamoring for this body to work together Democrats and Republicans across the aisle to do what is in the best interest of the American people. To that end, and to give credence to what the American people are clamoring for so they begin to have trust in us again and what we do in this body, is that we've been working since last August of 2023, on a supplemental disaster relief bill. We worked assiduously over the next several months, day in and day out. And I would just say to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I recognize I am part of what's called the Four Corners, and it was the Four Corners of the Appropriations Committee, Mr. Cole and myself and Senator Murray and Senator Collins, who wanted to get these bills done, the appropriations bills done, by December 20th, because we believed that we could have done it and get these bills done. We were told no. We were told no. That we had to have a continuing resolution that would carry us into next year. No government should be run by continuing resolutions. That is not good governance. But there are those in this body who don't know how to govern and don't care about governing. So we worked hard over the last several weeks, back and forth and back, to say, we can accept this, we can't accept that. We will do this, we will do that. We worked hard. And to talk about what some of my colleagues have said, the Democrats are in the minority in this body. When you have the pen, which is what the Republicans have, they write the bill. They write the bill. They post the bill. They agreed on a bill.
They signed it.
And you know what? They got scared because President Musk told them, President Musk said, don't do it. Don't do it. Shut the government down. Imagine. What does he know about what people go through is when the government shuts down? Are his employees furloughed? Hell no. Is he furloughed? No. And when you shut the government down, people don't get paid. And maybe if none of us got paid if the government shut down, some people on the other side of the aisle would feel differently about where we're going in this effort. We had an agreement. But you know, this is not different from what we've experienced over the last year and a half or so. Think about it. Biden, McCarthy, deal. Come together. Next day, walk away. Johnson, Schumer, deal. Next day, walk away. And now this deal, walk away from it. Who do we trust in this body? And above all, can the American people trust us? Trust us with their lives. When we had a moment, when we came to agreement as Democrats and Republicans, and then we were able to say, let's move forward this country. You know, one of my colleagues, I think it was Congressman Neal, who said this. The only currency we have in this body is our word. That's our credibility. That's our bond with each other. And when you break that bond, you break the ability to try to come together and be able to govern on behalf of the people of this country. What was left out of this bill, I understand what's in it, but what's left out is unconscionable, particularly in the areas of maternal
Gentlewoman's
mortality.
time has expired.
I implore my colleagues to vote no on this bill. In many respects, we continue to sit here and to deal with revisionist history here. Lest we forget, it was the Trump administration that violated the Impoundment Control Act, illegally withholding security assistance from Ukraine. Let's not forget that when we think about what emboldened Putin, let us not forget the words of the former president, which everyone has invoked here today in some way or another, that Putin is his dearest friend. He knows him well. And don't you think Putin is waiting very, very carefully to see another Trump administration? They are joined at the hip. So let's not sugarcoat what is going on here in terms of trying to indict the Biden administration. The moment is ours. And if the House of Representatives abdicates its responsibility, yes, the history will write the story. And that it is on us. When we had that moment, we said no. I, for one, will not say no. I will provide Ukraine with the weapons that it needs to go forward. I would provide Israel what it needs to defend against Iran. I am overwhelmingly in support of our being able to deliver humanitarian assistance at a volume that will meet that need, because we're standing by. We're standing by and watch Ukrainians die. We're standing by and watch Palestinians starve to death, Sudanese starve to death, Haitians, etc. If that's the way we want to be remembered in history, it's certainly not the way I want to be remembered. So let's vote on what we need to be doing here today, casting our vote in favor of the national security package. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And my thanks go to Chairman Fleischman and to Ranking Member Kaptur, and to the Energy and Water Subcommittee staff for your hard work on this bill, especially Scott McKee and Adam Wilson. With this bill, we have a rare opportunity to make strategic investments that lower energy costs for American families, promote America's energy independence, and support a robust and modern manufacturing sector. This is a real chance to ensure America's resiliency in the face of a changing climate and a shifting global economy. But that is not what the majority has chosen. Instead, the majority has cut domestic investments in this bill by over 5%. And with it, they will increase energy costs, jeopardize our energy independence and national security, hurt our global competitiveness, failed to confront the climate crisis, and put tens of thousands of good-paying manufacturing jobs at risk. Even if some members of this body may choose to refuse the overwhelming evidence and deny the scientific consensus and ignore the worsening natural disasters that have become more severe and more common in each of our districts, we must aggressively transform our energy sector to adapt to our climate reality. The best path, and the only path that addresses climate change, reduces our dependence on fossil fuels, and ends reliance on foreign energy, is to diversify how we produce and store energy at home. We recently received a letter from the Natural Resources Defense Council and dozens of other organizations highlighting how a cut to this program is fiscally irresponsible and threatens our energy future. They said, and this is a quote, "The House proposal for energy efficiency and renewable energy significantly threatens energy innovation in the United States. Not only would its proposed cuts hamper innovation within the United States, but they would also hinder a program that has provided significant return on investment for taxpayers. Several independent impact evaluation studies have assessed 1/3 of the energy efficiency and renewable energies research and development portfolio to date have found that $12 billion in total investment has generated more than $388 billion in net economic benefits to the United States," end quote. At the appropriate time, I will submit this letter into the congressional record. This funding supports research, development, manufacturing, energy management, weatherization technologies, critical to our nation's growth and resilience. These cuts are robbing from our children, our grandchildren's economic, energy, and environmental future. The bill directly targets disadvantaged communities by slashing funding for the Weatherization Assistance Program, which will drive up the cost of home energy bills for roughly 54,000 low-income homes. The attack on our country's energy future does not stop there. The majority's bill hurts our global competitiveness and eliminates good-paying manufacturing jobs by revoking $8 billion from the Department of Energy's loan program. These programs promote innovation and manufacturing in America. They creating and reshoring jobs that will help America become truly energy independent and a leader in green energy. But without this funding, thousands of manufacturing jobs are at risk, and we will fall further behind our global competitors. This bill fails to create a sustainable future. It fails to ensure Americans have equitable access to resilient, secure, and clean energy sources. Democrats are ready to pass legislation that lowers energy costs for the American people and ensures America leads the global transition to a clean energy economy. And I implore the majority to join us. It is time to govern. Thank you, and I yield back.